Have you ever wondered how an aircraft is held together? Well, you're in luck. G'day, I'm Dicko. Welcome to another episode here at Ats Aero. Today, we're going to talk about aluminium aircraft structures, how they're held together, how they're manufactured, and how they're repaired. Oh no. Fuselages, wings. Is this 8? Yes. During the life of an aircraft structure, it is subjected to all types of forces. Aerodynamic forces, weather forces, corrosion forces, you name it. Part of our job as aircraft engineers is to make sure that this structure is sound, safe, and airworthy. A key element to these aluminium aircraft structures are these thousands and thousands of tiny rivets. Each one of these rivets is put in by hand, whether you're working at the Boeing factory or building your home-built aircraft in your garage at home. It's a standardized technique throughout the aviation industry across the world. Stay tuned, it's going to be a riveting episode. If you're wondering what each one of these little rivets does, it holds the aluminium skin to the aluminium bulkhead and stringer structure underneath. That's what gives the aircraft structure lightweight, durable strength. A dash 4 rivet is, a 4-4 is 4/16, which is 1/8.
2/16
Oh yeah, 4/16 is quarter. Why is everything imperial? 70.
School doesn't help you, I tell you.
Exactly, it's everything's metric. Rivets come in all shapes and sizes. They can be countersunk, round head, soft, hard, long, short, you name it. Today, we're going to be using aluminium rivet, round head, 4-4. The 4s mean 432s in diameter and 4/16s in length. Let's go through, we'll knock a few in. For the purpose of this little demonstration, we're going to pretend that these two pieces of aluminium are the aircraft skins on a fuselage. These ones have been pre-piloted, ready to accept the temporary rivet to hold it in place, which is called a cleco. These clecos are a temporary rivet. Their purpose is to hold the two skins together so we can continue to drill the rest of the holes in the right place for a more accurate finish. One of the most important things to remember is the edge distance from the rivet hole to the edge of the skin. This can be no more than 2 times the diameter of the rivet we're installing. Now that we have all our pilot holes drilled, the next thing to do, remove the clecos and deburr all the holes. That simply means removing any sharpness from the corner of the hole so we don't induce any stress cracks. What I'm going to do now is mark the 2 sheets so I know exactly which way to put them back together and all the holes will line up. All we're doing here is merely twiddling an oversized drill bit in each of the holes, removing any of the burrs. Now that I've deburred the 2 skins, it's time to put them back together with the clecos to line the holes up and then bang in some rivets, gently. Are you still riveted? Now I'm going to show you 2 techniques to install these rivets. First, with a pneumatic rivet gun, 99% of all rivets in the world are installed with one of these. And secondly, a set of hand squeezers. Not quite so versatile in their application, but will give me more control and ease of use. The next thing I need to check is the length of the rivet. What I'm looking for is that the amount protruding is 1.5 times the diameter of the rivet we're installing, as this is the aviation standard. No lube needed. The reason we need 1.5 times the diameter is so we can form a strong, secure rivet connection. The next thing I need is a riveting block or a dolly. They come in all shapes and sizes and weights, depending on the application or where the rivet is. Some are easier to get to than others. The job we're doing today is fairly straightforward, so I'll just grab a standard block. Tool porn. This is the dolly I'll be using. It's a standard block, standard weight. What it does, it forms the tail of the rivet. Now let's see it in action. Remember, safety's no accident. All I'm doing now is holding pressure on the gun to stop the rivet pushing out, squeezing the trigger and forming the rivet. Just like that. As I mentioned before, about the 1.5 times the diameter for the length of the rivet, I'm now looking for 1.5 times the diameter across the rivet. That tells me that the tail is formed correctly, giving us a strong bond. Next, we're going to use the mechanical squeezers. Much quieter, simpler, and easy to use. Literally line it up and squeeze to your heart's content. Simple as that. Here we have the end result. Beautifully formed rivet heads, perfectly formed tails. And if you're wondering why I left one out, now I'm going to show you what happens when it all goes wrong. If you're not careful when forming a rivet and you don't keep the gun square to the job, you run the risk of it falling off the rivet head completely. Oh no. As you can see, I didn't keep the gun square to the job. Slipped off the rivet head. Bad day in the office. If you can imagine that as skin on an aircraft, I'd now have another 500 rivets to replace and another skin. Bad day in the office. So, we've been talking about aircraft rivets and aircraft structures. I want to introduce you to Pete. He's one of our home builders here at ATS. He's putting together the final stages of his van's RV8. Let's have a little chat with Pete and see how he got on with his riveting. Hopefully he did better than I did. What a beautiful job.
Thank you.
How long have you been building it?
Just over 6 years. I'm in my 7th year now.
7th year.
When I started, I thought it was going to be 3.
So when you started construction, where were you?
Well, I had to build a very large shed at the back of the garden,
Temporary structure,
which
I presume?
wife wasn't too happy about until she saw it, and it doesn't look too bad, but I could get the fuselage in just and with the engine on. Obviously not the wings.
Right.
So, yeah, all the construction was in the large shed, and then of course I needed somewhere to put it together.
A bigger shed.
Yeah, much bigger shed.
And how have you found the environment here for?
It's been tremendous.
Final assembly.
One of my reasons for coming here was the number of experts that you've got who can help, some of whom are experienced in the aeroplane itself, which is really tremendous.
Excellent.
I've still got a separate inspector, but he's actually got less experience of this aeroplane than some of your guys, so it's been really helpful.
Fantastic. And how have you found the riveting?
Not too bad,
Yeah.
really. It's different at each place in terms of the tools you use.
Yes.
You've got to take some out and put them in. Especially oops rivets. Have you heard of those?
Oops rivets.
I'm
yes,
sure you.
I think I
have.
made one of them earlier.
Yeah. Wingtips next week. As you can see, the wingtips are not yet fitted.
Excellent. And any more riveting?
I think I've come to the end, actually.
Any pleased about that?
Well, I'm actually about to do a little job.
Oh, yeah. A little riveting job.
As you can see over there. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Pete. I won't hold you up any longer.
Pleasure.
Crack on.
Yes, you pop the rivet in. You can see it's flush now because I dimpled the skin. The rivet itself is dimpled on the back as well. So now you just pop that on, make sure it's flush, and you push down just gently to make sure it stays flush with the surface when you've riveted it. And squeeze it in. And that rivet is now in. Obviously, if you're doing stacks of them on the wing, then you use a machine. Of course, part of the trouble with wing skins, as you can see, is how do you get access? So it's pretty critical, the order in which you put the rivets in, where you start. Basically, start at the front, work towards the back.
So with aircraft construction, there's 3 main materials that aircraft are built from. That's aluminium, as we've seen. The next is wood and fabric, and the final being composite. I'd like to introduce you to Stan. He's restoring this aircraft here. It's definitely not aluminium. Stan, tell us a bit about it.
Right, it's built in 1946, Stomp SV4. It sometimes compared to the Tiger Moth, but it's chalk and cheese to that. It would have been one of the best trainers of the time, pre-war, during the war.
Is it more labour intensive
Very much so.
than
Very much so.
aluminium aircraft?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, really. Measure twice, cut once is to the fore in that one.
90% complete?
And 90% to
90%
go.
to go.
Yeah,
Rivets are everywhere. Fuselages, wings, tail, helicopters, gliders, Boeings, Airbus, you name it. Our industry is literally held together with rivets. You've seen how we put them in, you know what they look like. Hope you've all learned something today. If there's something you would like to know, leave a comment below, hit the like, smash the subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Rivets come in all shapes and sizes. They can be Now you know. I'm lost the plot. Where is the subscribe? Diameter? No, that's not right. What did I say? What I'm looking for is everywhere. Everywhere. But the one thing I didn't tell you was where to find the golden rivet. If you know where it is, leave me a message below. Eddie, where's the golden rivet? Hey, where's the golden rivet?